Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My first ever YouTube video actually. This is going to be a prep series leading up to the Two Bros British Finals. I'm currently 4.5 weeks out now and doing the classic physique class. And then hopefully, if things go well there, we'll be rolling on to Alicante as well. So we're going to compete there. But for me now, things are going really well. But I just really want to document what we're going to do along these next 4 or 5 weeks, to be honest with you. And so today we just got pretty much an introduction, and we're going to go over to Durham and train some arms. I did make a bit of a boo-boo that I just said to Jay. I thought it was legs when I booked Jay, but actually it's arms, but we can get a good session in anyway. And then after that we're going to do a full day of eating, and then as Jay is the official videographer of Two Bros, we're going to be able to get some nice behind the scenes footage as well on the day, so we can also get some of the weigh-in, some of the tanning, what's going to go on the day before, the night before, the morning of the show, and also all the back scenes footage as well. So it's going to be a pretty good series, I think.
I have to go slow there. Some maximums to push that press on.
So here at Ultraflex Durham, this is one of the Ultraflex chains that's run by Anth Bales actually, top guy. I think there's maybe 5 Ultraflexes at the minute, Rotherham, Normanton, Leeds, York and Durham. All fantastic gyms, all kitted out individually. We're in here today for arms, as I've mentioned. For me personally, I have an arm day and a chest top-up day. Kuba Chelin, who's my coach, we spoke about at the beginning of prep about just trying to get a little bit more fullness across my upper body. My lower body is quite dominant, so it's important in this prep that the frequency of training on my upper body is enough. So far it seems to be working. My shots that incorporate more triceps and biceps have definitely come on since we've added the arm day. So Kuba does want to bring the arm day down slightly because he feels like the frequency on my chest isn't getting hit enough, but that's something we're going to talk about this week, I think. But for now, everything's good with the arm day. Intra-workout wise, I've been using it for a long time now, is sustained by Trained by JP Nutrition and MPS as well. Corin and Jordan sponsor myself with Trained by JP clothing, so thanks to them. And you may have already seen me on the site as well. I train with the bigger boys on the site, but for this YouTube it's a little bit more in depth to what I get up to, and just a little bit about my life and a little bit more in depth about that. So between the gyms, I actually train at 3 different gyms. I train here a little bit less often. I train at Rotherham Ultraflex, and I train at Ilkeston Gym and Fitness. And between the week I usually drive about 1,000 miles to train. It seems very excessive. The drive to Jamie's gym sometimes is 4.5 hours round trip. But for me to put myself in the circle I need to be in, around the people that want it as much as me, I feel like I'd double that, to be honest with you. I wouldn't let that stop me from going that extra mile, if you like, excuse the pun. But yeah, so for me I like to train arms here and legs as well. Sometimes arms and legs at Rotherham, and mainly now my push and pull days are at Ilkeston. If you'd notice on the site, I used to train with Kuba and AJ mainly, and now I'm training with Jamie and Josh, so Jamie Johal and Josh Maley. The reason for this is, in lockdown, we had to go our separate ways. Obviously we couldn't all train together, and as Kuba and AJ started training together, me and Jamie started training together just for ease of basically social distancing. And at the time, this is when I incorporated the arm split, and so did Jamie, so our splits are different. So what happens is, when I catch up with Kuba on a push day, pull day or leg day, I'll go over and train with AJ and Kuba, but mainly I'll train with Jamie and Josh as we're on the same split.
Well, don't knock me down, it's gonna make me stronger. I got a whole lot of fire burning in these veins, and the only way I'ma feed that hunger is to use my struggle like it's gasoline. Gave everything I have, now I'm taking it back. Now we're on top.
bad stigma about arm days really. The reason why I do one is because during the off season, when I'm a little bit larger and a little bit tighter, I suffer really badly from bicep tendonitis and elbow tendon, both distal and elbow tendonitis, so my biceps and triceps are really affected. This is why this year, even though everything else grew really well, my arms were lacking a little bit. So now that my tendonitis has gone because I'm a little bit lighter and I've had more sports therapy, the movements I have to do I've really supported. So for me personally, even though I've just done a seated dumbbell, the machine I will feel most is something like this. So when I've been in the off season and I've been curling, my body's way of protecting myself from tendonitis has been almost shrugging the movement up. So now what I need to do is I need to put my bicep in a vulnerable position where I'm only just using my bicep. This way I can contract it hard without using any other muscle, what I've been used to doing. And same with my tricep as well. So the line dumbbell extension, even though load wise I am putting a massive load through them, the connection's a lot better than it has been. And the next tricep movement as well, but there's something very similar where, again, my full body's out of the equation and it's literally just tricep pressing away. So people who struggle to build arms, it's generally a connection issue. So a gym like this, there's a few of them around the country now, is very, very good to come to because the amount of equipment that you have that you really wouldn't get anywhere else, you're going to have access to here. So this is the reason why I come here to train arms now really, because even though there's only 2 or 3 pieces of kit that are different from the other ultraflexes, to me it feels great. So I can really get a good connection and really feel my arms. And I suggest that if you're just training in a normal gym with dumbbells or bars and you aren't feeling arms, come to a gym that's kitted out like this and see if it makes a difference, because I think it will.
Gave everything I am. Oh, now I'm taking it back. Now we're on top. Look what we got. Hitting it harder, taking it farther, never gonna stop. Now we're on top. Look what we got. Hitting it harder, taking it farther, never gonna stop.
So that's arm day wrapped up. Decent session again. Considering I'm just over 4.5 weeks out, I still feel really good strength wise. Pump's decent, connection's good. Something I've struggled with in the past is connection with my arms, so right now being able to feel it like that is really advantageous. So what we're going to do now is quick drive back, have a little bit of post workout. See you there. We're back and it's post workout time. Post workout for me at the minute looks like 180 grams of Cocoa Pops and 75 grams of whey isolate. My food at the minute is still, at 4.5 weeks, my food at the minute, I worked out yesterday, is still 4,200 calories on a training day. On a leg day it's slightly higher at 4,007, and my rest days are about 3,000, so food's very high actually still. Expenditure wise, there's no direct cardio just yet. My steps in the morning fasted are still only 2,000, so it's a stroll around, a fast stroll around the block. And then after that it's another 10,000, so 12,000 steps total for the day. We've managed to keep my food this high and my expenditure this low simply from off-seasoning correctly. My off-season food was pushed very, very high and my expenditure was kept very low. Not all at the same time, we literally pushed food and expenditures, we kept bringing it down. So now we've come into the prep, it's been a nice long prep. I think now, well, I'm 4.5 weeks out, so I've been on prep nearly 17 weeks already, so it's been very slow. I'm about 30 pound down altogether, so even though it's quite a lot of weight loss, the look in terms of size hasn't been much different. So for me, it's been a very successful prep so far. Really now, it's just a case of bringing things in condition wise. We've managed to keep fullness, which was the main goal, but we've been speaking to Cuba this morning and we feel like we just need to push me a little bit harder now. So we'll be in condition for the show. That's never a problem. But it was always a case of trying to stay full, and I think we've sort of kept my body fresh enough now. So when we do refeed, it responds really well. And in terms of what I'm expecting from the British finals is we're turning up for one thing, and that's the pro card. No show's guaranteed to win, but the way things are going, I think I'll be a good contender for the show. There's a lot of good classic physiques in the country. One thing I do think that people lack in classic physique at the minute is size in general. In Britain, definitely the consensus for classic physique seems to be a little bit smaller, a smaller bodybuilding. I don't really know why this is. When I went abroad last year to do a pro qualifier, I thought you had to be a little bit on the smaller side and more aesthetic, and the IFBB just told me I just needed more muscle. The IFBB are looking for muscle. It's classic bodybuilding. We're not physique guys. So this year I think my advantage is going to be I'm going to be a lot bigger than the majority of the guys on stage. As long as I can bring the condition that I usually bring and keep the classic lines, I think the look when we're stood next to each other is not going to blow people out of the water, but I think I'm going to make a lot of guys blurred out because of the size. So I are going to make up numbers. When I stepped off the stage last year, which was at the end of May, I think, literally the plan was to turn pro straight away. It wasn't. We could have done the British finals last year, but we felt like I would have still had an amateur physique, and taking the 6 months up to the show would have maybe been detrimental in my growth. So basically what we decided to do is turn up with a pro standard physique in the amateur ranks, and we're close to that now. So this year is all about just not turning up, making numbers, and we don't plan on losing this show. No disrespect to any of the other guys, because they are very, very good, and it's going to be a hell of a battle, don't get me wrong, but at the minute, the position I'm in, we're confident that we're going to cause a bit of a stir. So if that's something that you're going to want to see, then do subscribe. The prep series is going to be different videos every time, so next time we are going to get a full day of eating in, a leg day with 200-300 pound plus bodybuilders, which is going to make me look a little bit tiny after what I've just said. But yeah, and then after that we're just going to keep going into the show. Conditions are going to be getting better, and all the adjustments we're going to be making as well. I'm going to keep everyone up to date as much as possible. So like and subscribe, guys. Cheers.